Before Grandpa died, he made my adopted brother and me choose between 100 billion in savings and 3 matches. Without hesitation, I chose the 100 billion inheritance. My adopted brother got only 3 matches. Who knew those 3 matches could grant wishes? All you had to do was light one and make a wish, and it would come true. Resenting our parents for favoring me, my adopted brother immediately wished them dead. Sure enough, Dad died suddenly of a heart attack. On her way to the hospital, Mom was struck and sent flying by a truck. I grabbed a cleaver and went after my adopted brother. But he sneered and lit the second match. He wished for me to be trafficked into a scam compound in Myanmar, then gutted alive and left to die. I turned pale with terror. I emptied my savings and hired over 1,000 bodyguards to protect me without a single gap. But late one night, every bodyguard suddenly collapsed at once. In the end, I was trafficked into that compound and tortured to death. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn on the day the inheritance was divided. Grandpa was trembling as he took out 3 matches. His voice was hoarse and weak. This 100 billion inheritance and these 3 matches, you 2 brothers may choose only one. Beichen, you're the older brother. You choose first. A shiver ran through me. I suddenly realized I had been reborn. Remembering my family's tragic fate in my past life, I instinctively looked at my parents beside me. They stood there, safe and sound, nodding at me encouragingly. This time, I chose the 3 matches without hesitation. Everyone froze. As Beichen lost his mind. They're just 3 ordinary matches. It's not like they're made of gold. That is a 100 billion inheritance. And he is giving it all to his adopted brother. Beichen wants to play the good guy. But does he not see what time this is? Unbelievable. Watching him makes me anxious. If he cannot choose, let me do it. Beichen, did you choose wrong by mistake? Your father's startup has just gone public. Your mother is not in good health either. This is when you need money most. Good boy. I know you have a kind heart. And always think of your brother. But if you chose the 100 billion inheritance, you could always give half to your brother later. There is no need for this. I want these 3 matches. My brother lost both parents as a child. His life has been harder than mine. This 100 billion inheritance, I do not want a cent of it. Give it all to my brother. My brother was so thrilled he nearly jumped for joy. He proudly signed the inheritance papers, while falsely thanking me. Thank you for your generosity, brother. Do not worry. When you are so poor you have to beg on the streets, I will buy you to steam buns. I ignored their mockery. They did not know. This match had the power to grant wishes. That night, I heard Mom and Dad tossing and turning in their bedroom. What on earth was Beichen thinking? We raised him for over 20 years, only to raise a fool. The creditors will come collect tomorrow. If we cannot repay them, we will lose our house. Grandpa's family rules were strict. He always demanded that his descendants support themselves. Dad's startup was doing poorly, and he had borrowed heavily from loan sharks. He had hoped I would use Grandpa's inheritance to get him through this crisis. But I chose 3 matches instead. After my adopted brother got the inheritance, he immediately went out to party and squander money. Expecting him to pay our parents' debts was nothing but a fantasy. Watching Mom and Dad lie awake all night, I felt awful too. I silently struck the first match. I made a wish. May Mom and Dad become fabulously rich overnight. After making my wish, I climbed into bed completely satisfied. But early the next morning, Mom's scream jolted me awake. It's over. Everything is over. The company suddenly caught fire. Everything burned down. The blaze spread to the neighboring shops too. We have to pay them tens of millions in damages. Dad was crouching on the floor too, his head in his hands, shaking uncontrollably. I clenched the charred matchstick in my fist. My whole body went cold. How could this happen? Mom was frantic with worry. When she saw me still standing there like an idiot, all her pent-up emotions exploded. This is all because you chose those useless matches. Matches. Fire. It's over. It was fate? If you had chosen the 100 billion inheritance, none of this would have happened. Mom sobbed so hard she could barely speak. Dad silently pulled her into his arms. He closed his eyes warily, saying nothing. My mind reeled. How could this happen? I had clearly wished for Mom and Dad to become rich. Why had they suddenly gone bankrupt? Could it be Because my rebirth had changed things? In this life, wishes came true in reverse. Realizing that, I rushed back to my bedroom and took out the second match. But before I could make a wish, someone kicked our front door open with a bang. Well, my guys and I have been running ourselves ragged collecting this debt, while you are sitting comfortably at home. This is your final warning. If you do not pay by tomorrow, I will chop off your hands. The loan shark debt still had not been repaid, and the sudden fire had added tens of millions in damages to my parents' burden. With no other choice, Mom and Dad could only call my adopted brother. They called 10 times in a row, before he finally answered at his leisure. Son, Mom and Dad are in trouble now. Grandpa left you 100 billion in inheritance. We are not asking for much. We only need 30 million from you. Please, if we cannot repay the debt, the creditors will chop off Mom and Dad's hands. On my adopted brother's social media, his newly bought limited edition Rolex alone cost 50 million. But when our parents begged for help, my adopted brother put on a helpless look and sighed. Mom, Dad, it's not that I do not want to help, but Grandpa specifically left this inheritance to me. I do not dare spend it carelessly. If you want to blame someone, blame my brother for choosing only 3 matches. Mom and Dad tried to say more, but my adopted brother promptly hung up. Right after that, my adopted brother made another social media post. He was holding a puppy in his arms. The puppy wore a tiny crown made of pure gold. The caption read, "Money should be spent on those who deserve it." Mom and Dad trembled with rage. To scrape together the payment due tomorrow, I sold every pair of sneakers I had collected since childhood. I even sold my phone and replaced it with a second-hand phone that cost only a few hundred yuan. Mom sold her wedding jewelry, and Dad sold his car too. We barely managed to raise a few million. At last, Dad's brow relaxed slightly. This money should be enough to handle tomorrow's loan shark payment. Mom calmed down too, and formally apologized to me. Beichen, Mom lost control of her emotions this morning. I took it out on you. I know none of this is your fault. I'm sorry. Mom apologizes to you. My nose stung. I almost burst into tears. Maybe I really did choose wrong. All right. What's done is done. Money is just money. People are what matter. Losing hundreds of billions. Let us see Nanxing for who he really is. That alone makes it worthwhile. I never imagined. We pitied him for being alone and helpless back then, and kindly took him in, only to raise an ungrateful wretch. Dinner was just steamed buns, but the 3 of us still found warmth in it. Dad talked about his plans for the future, and light returned to his eyes. As long as I have my hands and feet, I'll get back on my feet again. That night, I gritted my teeth and lit the second match. I made a wish. May Mom and Dad become disabled and live in poverty their whole lives. Since my first wish came true in reverse, I would make this wish in reverse too. Hopefully this time, Mom and Dad would live safe, prosperous lives. I clutched the burned-out second matchstick tightly. I did not dare close my eyes. I was terrified that, like last night, when I woke up, devastating news would be waiting for me. I was not asking for great wealth. I only wanted Mom and Dad to be healthy and happy for life. At 5 in the morning, a crushing wave of sleepiness suddenly hit me. My body slumped sideways, and my mind went hazy for a moment. When I woke again, everything around me was silent. My heart pounded wildly. I quietly ran to my parents' bedroom and peeked inside. Mom and Dad were sleeping peacefully. I breathed a sigh of relief. But just as I turned to go back to my room, 2 blood-curdling screams erupted from my parents' bedroom at once. I threw the door open and nearly fainted from shock. My parents, who had been perfectly fine moments ago, now had toes that had all turned black. Mom and Dad clutched their toes, howling in agony. My scalp went numb. I hurriedly called emergency services. By the time the doctors arrived, the blackened areas had spread from their toes across their entire lower bodies. The doctor looked grim. The condition is worsening too quickly. Prepare for amputation immediately. I nearly broke down, thinking of my second wish. I wanted to slap myself to death. The money we had struggled so hard to raise was now all spent on the surgeries. Why did this happen to my parents? Seeing me sobbing uncontrollably, the doctor shook his head and sighed. We do not know the exact cause either. A case like this, let alone me, even my mentor's mentor, has never seen one. The next day, the loan sharks came to collect. Damn it. I've been looking all over for you. Do not think hiding in a hospital makes you safe. Today, I am chopping off your hands no matter what. But when they entered the hospital room and saw my parents' miserable state, they froze on the spot. Their arrogance was completely replaced by pity. This? Forget it. Pay us back whenever you have the money. Whenever that is. Before leaving, they even tossed me 200 yuan and told me to buy some food. As I slipped the money into my pocket, I suddenly touched the third match. The first time, I wished for something good, but it turned into something terrible. The second time, I made the opposite wish. I had wanted to turn misfortune into good fortune, but the misfortune came true instead. These were no wish-granting matches. They were the key to Pandora's box. But if I did not make a wish, we were already at a dead end. The third match was the only chance for my parents and me to turn things around. But for my third wish, what exactly should I wish for? My mind was a tangled mess. Mom and Dad still needed me to care for them, so I could only put the matches aside for now. After my parents suddenly had their limbs amputated, phantom limb pain left them miserable and depressed. Yet even when the pain kept them awake all night, they still did their best to comfort me. Beichen, we are not in pain. Do not be too sad either. Maybe this is heaven testing us. As long as we can get through it, everything will get better. I held back my tears and forced myself to pull it together. To get my parents some nutrition, I worked as a day laborer at a construction site. After barely saving a few dozen yuan, I bought my parents a pound of braised beef. All the way there, I imagined their faces lighting up with smiles. But the moment I reached their room, Mom grabbed a water cup and smashed it hard against my head. Get out. Get the hell out. I was stunned. When I turned around, my adopted younger brother, who had vanished for days, was standing beside my parents. He smugly waved his phone at me, then turned and tightly hugged Mom and Dad. Mom, Dad, you thought I had been out partying these past few days. Actually, I have been secretly watching my brother. I knew something was wrong with him long ago, so I used a drone to record this video. The footage is absolutely genuine. My brother looks kind, but he is actually vicious. In the video, I was tightly gripping a match, making a solemn wish. One wish, for Mom and Dad to become disabled and live in poverty for life. Fury blazed in my parents' eyes. No wonder your father and I have had such terrible luck these past few days. So, you have been cursing us all along. I panicked and hurriedly told them the whole truth. Mom, Dad, please, listen to me. The matches Grandpa left me can grant wishes. The first time, I wished for you to become rich, but you ended up bankrupt. That is why I made the opposite wish the second time. A flicker of hesitation crossed my parents' eyes, but my adopted younger brother came over and slapped me hard. By your logic, the matches Grandpa left you will bring disaster no matter what you wish for. What nonsense. He was your own grandfather. Why would he leave you something like that? My parents found that reasonable too, and their eyes turned cold again. From now on, Nanxing is our only biological son. You bring nothing but disaster. Get as far away from us as you can. I completely broke down. How did things end up like this? My adopted younger brother threw all my things out. I seized the chance to confront him. You are behind all of this, aren't you? You already have an inheritance worth 100 billion. Why are you still trying to take Mom and Dad from me? No reason. I just cannot stand the sight of you. With a bang, the door slammed shut. The three of them laughed and chatted inside. People passed constantly through the hospital corridor. I stood at the door, like a clown. In my previous life, my adopted younger brother hated Mom and Dad. But, in this life, he had approached them willingly. He was definitely up to no good. I had to uncover the truth quickly. Otherwise, the tragedy of my past life would repeat itself. My first thought was that my adopted younger brother had switched my matches. The wish-granting matches had been replaced with cursed objects that brought misfortune. I sold everything I owned and borrowed a great deal of money to hire a detective. But the detective's findings devastated me. Those 3 matches really had been left to me by Grandpa. My adopted younger brother had never even touched them, let alone switched them. I wanted the detective to investigate further, but he flatly refused. You borrowed money to hire me, just to investigate 3 matches. Are you an idiot? I cannot take this case. You might try to scam me, because of my strange behavior. Every detective in the business blacklisted me. Since science could not explain it, I could only turn to the occult. I made several posts online, causing a huge uproar. A highly respected spiritual master offered to help me for free. I was overjoyed and rushed over that very night. After hearing what had happened to me, tears welled in the master's eyes. Hand over heart, he promised he would help me. But the master took the matches and examined them over and over for a long time, yet found nothing wrong. In the end, he could only comfort me by saying that evil people would face retribution. There was nothing wrong with the matches. Could I be the problem? But I had a full medical checkup just weeks ago. Physically and mentally, I was perfectly healthy. Just when I was at my wit's end, I suddenly received a picture from my adopted younger brother. Brother, Mom and Dad gave me your room. This looks like the transformer you have loved since childhood. I accidentally smashed it. You will not blame me, will you? I gripped my phone so tightly my hand hurt. It was the only keepsake my beloved grandpa had left me. Rage surged through me. I wanted to tear my adopted younger brother apart. Then suddenly, I noticed a detail in the picture. Remembering what the master had just said, I suddenly understood. I finally knew why, after making 2 wishes in this life, I had not gotten what I wanted either time. And I finally knew what I should wish for with the 3rd match. As I struck the match in my rented room, my whole body trembled with excitement. I never imagined the truth was so close, yet it took me so long to figure it out. The instant the match went out of the corner of my eye, I saw a red dot flash outside the window. My adopted younger brother really was still watching me with a drone. I openly sent him a picture of the burned-out matchstick. I have already made my 3rd wish. In a few days, you will come begging me to spare you. My adopted younger brother replied with an eye-roll emoji. I had no interest in arguing with him. I climbed under the covers and fell fast asleep. This time, I slept more soundly than ever. I firmly believed that when I woke up, a happy, perfect life would be waiting for me. When I woke again, I opened my eyes and saw my adopted younger brother. I was thrilled. I never expected the match would grant my wish so quickly this time. You came begging so soon? For the sake of all our years as brothers, just give me half of Grandpa's inheritance, and I will not hold it against you anymore. I was completely confident. Yesterday, when my adopted younger brother smashed my transformer, he sent me a picture to gloat. In the corner of that picture, I spotted a very well-hidden asterisk. That symbol belonged to Vulture, the black market's most notorious desperado. Vulture worked for money. As long as the price was right, he would take any job. After my adopted younger brother cursed me in my past life, I even paid a fortune to hire him as my bodyguard. That was why I knew this symbol so well. Soon, I followed the trail and discovered that after I first wished for Mom and Dad to become rich, my adopted younger brother immediately placed an order on the black market. My wish for Mom and Dad to become rich really could have come true. A major shareholder willing to invest $1 billion in their company had already sent someone to deliver the money to them. But while the money was being delivered, the desperado my adopted younger brother hired stole it. And that was not all. The fire at Mom and Dad's company was also Vulture's doing. The first match had already granted my wish, but my adopted younger brother had blinded me to the truth. I foolishly believed the wishes came true in reverse. So, with my 2nd wish, I made the opposite wish. The matches did not judge whether a wish was good or bad. As long as I made a wish, the matches would grant it. So the 2nd time, Mom and Dad really did become disabled. That was what the master meant when he said there was nothing wrong with the matches. Once I learned the truth, I confidently made my 3rd wish. Sure enough, the day after I made it, my adopted younger brother came to see me. I smugly waited for him to beg for mercy, but my adopted younger brother looked at me with mocking amusement. He casually handed me a mirror. Brother, I am really curious. What exactly did you wish for? How did you end up looking like such a wreck? A terrible sense of dread surged through me. I instinctively took the mirror. The instant I saw my face, I flung the mirror away in terror. How could this happen? No. Impossible. I must have seen it wrong. Refusing to accept it, I looked again at the floor covered in broken mirror shards. This time, the brutal reality hit me like a blow to the head. The mirror had shattered into pieces. In every shard, an unbelievably ugly face was reflected. Trembling, I touched my face. The sagging, aged skin made me want to vomit. In just one night, I had somehow aged 70 years. Impossible. I had already figured out how the wishes work. Why had my 3rd wish still failed? My adopted younger brother put on a puzzled expression too. How strange. The matches can grant any wish, Yet you chose to turn yourself into a hideous freak. Brother, do you have a thing for old people? It felt as if someone had viciously clenched my heart. If there was nothing wrong with the matches themselves, then for my third wish, I wish for my adopted younger brother to suffer the consequences of his evil. But why? Had all that retribution fallen on me instead? I grabbed my adopted younger brother by the collar. This has to be your doing. Did you use some kind of black magic to send all the retribution back onto me? With disgust, my adopted younger brother pried my fingers away. His face was full of contempt. Black magic? To deal with you, I do not need anything that sophisticated. Brother, since you are about to die, I will let you in on a secret. Actually, I was reborn too. My pupils constricted. My mind raced. In his past life, my adopted younger brother used the matches to make wishes, and made Mom, Dad, and me die unable to rest in peace. Since he had been reborn, he should have tried to take the matches from me in this life too. I could not make sense of it. Then why did you let me choose the matches? Were you not afraid I would use them to wish revenge on you? My adopted younger brother burst out laughing. He laughed until tears spilled from his eyes. Brother, I know you must hate me. For your third wish, you even wish for me to die horribly. But here I am, perfectly fine, while you have become something neither human nor ghost. Brother, you must be furious enough to explode right now. I stood frozen. My adopted younger brother leaned close and whispered in my ear. Actually, these 3 matches can grant wishes, but they also bring backlash upon whoever makes them. In my past life, I used 2 wishes to make you, Mom, and Dad die horribly. But not long after you died, my entire body began to rot. Even when I used my third wish to wish myself healed, it was too late. Only then did I learn that wishing on the matches brings backlash. So in this life, I deliberately let you have the matches. I wanted to watch the matches backlash consume you after you made your wishes, until your whole body rotted like mine did in my past life, leaving you to cling to life in unbearable agony. The more my adopted younger brother spoke, the more excited he became. He even raised his phone to capture my miserable state. Brother, this is the most dignified you will look for the next 10 years. Let me preserve it for you. Over the next 10 years, every part of you, from your bones to your hair, will slowly rot away. Every day will be an ordeal of excruciating pain. And if you try to kill yourself, you will not be able to die. You will be unable to live and unable to die. In my past life, the torment drove me insane. But do not worry, brother. In this life, I will hire the best doctors and use the most expensive medicine. I will make sure you remain conscious every second. It is only fitting for the brotherhood we share. Is it not? Looking at my adopted younger brother, nearly crazed before me, I was deeply disappointed. When Mom and Dad adopted him, he was tiny and scrawny as a little quail. He only knew how to trail after me, calling me brother. When I gave him a piece of candy, he was so touched he nearly cried. He even swore he would earn lots of money someday and buy me mountains of snacks. Our whole family felt terribly sorry for him. We practically cherished him like a treasure. He was sensitive. So ever since childhood, he had the exact same food, clothes, and everything else I had. Sometimes his was even better than mine. I thought that if we showered him with love, he would grow into a thoughtful, decent person, cheerful and poised. But I never expected. Some people are rotten to the core from birth. I ripped the human skin mask from my face. My adopted younger brother's laughter abruptly stopped. His eyes nearly bulged from their sockets. I pulled a match from my pocket and waved it before my adopted younger brother. I am so sorry. The one I lit yesterday was only an ordinary match. The real third match I have not used yet. I still have 1 wish left. This time, guess what I will wish for? My adopted younger brother panicked at first, but then he quickly regained his composure. Are you not afraid of the backlash? I smiled and shook my head. Even now, you still do not understand. You suffered backlash in your past life because you used the matches to harm others with your wishes. You committed too many sins, so you suffered the backlash. Simply making a wish does not bring backlash. Although in this life, my second wish made Mom and Dad disabled, I only made it because I believed wishes would come true in the opposite way. So it does not count as a sin. I only pretended to suffer backlash just now, to trick you into revealing the truth. Everything you just said, I recorded it all and sent it to Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad have seen your true face now. And now, I will use this third match to make you pay for your crimes and blood. My adopted younger brother cried out and lunged at me to grab it. Give me the match. My adopted younger brother and I grappled with each other. He bit wildly like a rabid dog, then even grabbed a nearby chair and swung it at my head with all his strength. With a bang, he knocked me to the floor. My strength gave out and the match slipped from my hand onto the floor. My adopted younger brother quickly snatched it up and struck it. One wish. For your entire body to rot, and for you to die horribly. I frowned. In your past life, using the matches to curse others brought you a terrible end. Yet in this life, you still dare to curse someone else. Are you not afraid of the backlash? My adopted younger brother covered his mouth, feigning surprise. Oh my, I was not cursing you. I thought these matches could only make wishes come true in reverse. I am so sorry. I meant to wish for you to be healthy, brother, and happy. I just misspoke by accident. I am sorry, brother, but the match has already burned out, so there is nothing I can do to fix it. You are so kind, brother. You will surely forgive me, will you not? My adopted younger brother blinked innocently. The corners of his mouth curled high, but his eyes were full of malice. I sighed. My third wish. I wish for Mom and Dad to be healthy and live long lives, and for you to receive the punishment you deserve. My adopted younger brother clicked his tongue impatiently. One match can grant only one wish. I have already made mine. That wish of yours can wait until your next life. With that, my adopted younger brother turned to leave, but I suddenly pulled a freshly burnt out match from behind my back. Little brother, you did not really think I would be foolish enough to bring out the third match and let you snatch it away, did you? The one you took was only an ordinary match. The one I just lit was the real match. Veins bulged on my adopted younger brother's forehead with rage. How dare you deceive me? You have both parents and a perfect family. Brother, you have already been so happy your whole life. Why must you make things so difficult for an orphan like me? In the past, hearing words like that would have broken my heart for him. But now, they only disgusted me. Some people are born ingrates. No matter how well you treat them, they will always think it is not enough. So, you think having matches makes you special? Even without matches, I can still make you beg for death, and deny you even that. My adopted younger brother quickly tapped his phone screen. A group of men in black waiting outside rushed in. Their leader was the ruthless criminal Vulture. Young master, what are your orders? My adopted younger brother pointed at me. I hear you are an expert at torture. Even the toughest man can be made to heel like a dog by you. I want you to torture my brother properly. The crueler, the better. First, use gasoline to burn his face. I hate that seductive face of his most. I seduce people. I truly did not understand. I had been a stay-at-home nerd my entire life. When had I ever seduced anyone? Seeing my confusion, my adopted younger brother flew into a rage. You have seduced too many women. You have even forgotten who they were. Back in kindergarten, a wealthy heiress was especially fond of me, but you went and said a few things to her, and she never spoke to me again. If not for you, I would have married that wealthy heiress long ago, and become a young master everyone admired. I would not be scorned at every turn in this family. Then I finally understood. I rolled my eyes speechlessly. That rich girl's family was involved in shady business. When I saw her getting close to my adopted younger brother, I was afraid he would get hurt, so I warned her off. I never expected him to hold this trivial matter against me for so many years. I spoke slowly. Do you know? That rich girl's entire family was arrested for child trafficking and sent to prison. My adopted younger brother would not listen at all. He was convinced that I, his brother, could never stand to see him thrive. Hurry up! Burn my brother's face off. The men in black shouted, Yes, sir. They carried out a large barrel of gasoline. The next second, the gasoline was poured all over my adopted younger brother. You useless idiots! Are you blind? I told you to disfigure my brother, not disfigure me. To his surprise, Vulture, who had just been groveling, kicked him hard in the stomach. I have been in this business for decades. This is the first time I have met someone who tried to stiff me. You hired me for a job and gave me a box of gold bars. I thought you were a wealthy client. But today, I found out. Those gold bars were chocolate. You made fools of us, then called us useless? It seemed, my third wish, that my adopted younger brother reap what he sowed, had begun to take effect. My adopted younger brother screamed and backed away. I did not do it. My brother cursed those gold bars with the matches. The men in black burst out laughing. What curse? Do you think you are some prince in a fairy tale? Vulture raised his lighter. Come on, boys, set him on fire. Help him come to his senses. Amid my adopted younger brother's screams, I escaped the rented apartment in the chaos. Then I ran for home as fast as I could. Though my adopted younger brother had committed countless evils, I still kindly called the police for him. After all, if I left him to die, I could face legal consequences too. When I got home, Mom and Dad held me tightly, apologizing again and again. If not for your recordings, we would have been deceived by him. We are sorry, Beichen. We truly misunderstood you. My third wish was for Mom and Dad to be healthy and happy. Soon after, a doctor contacted us. A new bionic prosthetics trial was looking for my parents to serve as its first volunteers. The entire process was free. Mom and Dad were taken into surgery on gurneys, and a few hours later, they actually ran out. These bionic prosthetics could integrate perfectly with the human body. They could run and jump, just like their original legs. The shareholder, who had once wanted to invest in my parents, came back to work with them. He fully supported their comeback. A few days later, we received news about my adopted younger brother. 99% of his body was burned. The unbearable pain had left him delirious. Mom, Dad, and I silently agreed not to visit him. He never treated us as family, so there was no need to keep offering kindness to someone who rejected us. A few months later, my parents' new company successfully went public. It also caught a booming market at exactly the right time. They not only paid off every debt, but quickly made a fortune. My adopted younger brother held a pen in his mouth and wrote many letters of apology. He said he had been ungrateful before. He said he knew he was wrong, begging us for another chance. Those apology letters all went straight into the trash. We all understood. My adopted younger brother did not truly regret his mistakes. He had simply learned fear. Tormented by illness and pain, he clung miserably to life for 3 whole years. We left his funeral arrangements to a professional company. I heard that when he died, not a single patch of flesh on his body was intact. Some areas had rotted so badly that bone was visible. After my adopted younger brother died, grandfather's 100 billion inheritance, originally left to him, passed to me as the next heir. I did not squander it on a life of indulgence as he had. I knew how hard Dad and grandfather had fought in the business world. Every cent of it was earned through their blood, sweat, and tears. I gave half of it to charity and public welfare. As for the other half, I made a long-term financial plan. Several more years passed. Mom and Dad became the richest people in the country. I successfully completed graduate school and joined the company by choice. Starting from the bottom, Mom and Dad had long chosen me as the family's heir. I will work hard and give it everything I have, without letting my parents down or letting myself down.